And joining us now is Premier Brad Wall to talk about the budget. Mr. Premier, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Just in covering the budget year after year, the one thing I noticed being here today is that the atmosphere seems a little bit different. Last year it seemed like a little bit more celebratory. This year a little more doom and gloom with cuts and the calculations and that sort of thing. What sort of message are you thinking it might send? I'm thinking the optics. We've been saying that Saskatchewan is the place to be for months now. Does that change that?
It doesn't. We want to be very clear. There's two sort of economic stories today. One is the economy, and nothing has changed there. This is the #1 economy in the nation. It's forecast to lead the country in economic growth this year by many of the forecasters, and even into next year. We just saw the job numbers come out on Friday, and we're leading the country in that area as well. The population numbers will come out soon. I think you'll see us continuing to grow. So that's one part of the story. And in order to keep that going forward, we need to make sure that the government's making the right decisions with its budget, so we can maintain taxes at a competitive level, so we can maintain infrastructure investments, so we can continue to pay down the debt. Doing that actually helps with the former, helps with the growth agenda, helps with the momentum. That's why today's budget is about restraint. That's why this is new. What we announced today in the budget is completely different than anything you're seeing in the country. An actual reduction in spending with strategic investments in healthcare and education, some increases there, but overall a reduction and the chance to sustain the amazing momentum that Saskatchewan has right now in the country.
Now, the budget relies less heavily on potash this year, a little more on oil and other resources. How confident are you that these numbers will work and carry you through?
We've been very cautious with respect to the numbers, and I think even those who would be normally critics of the government are recognizing that today. There's caution built into the resource revenues, to the taxation revenues for the province, and I think that's important because obviously we want to make sure as the quarters roll on, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, that we perhaps can actually gain momentum in the fiscal state of the province and perhaps make the current small withdrawal from the savings account unnecessary in the first place. But obviously time will tell, but there's very cautious revenue numbers in the budget, as there should be.
Now, of course, a big highlight of the budget was the civil service, and Finance Minister Rod Gantafor talked about leading by example. How much of that is to reduce spending as opposed to it just being a politically popular move, especially going into an election year?
Well, it's not just about reducing spending, although there is a reduction in expenditures as we capture some positions, some vacancies as a result of retirements in the public service. There is a savings there, but this is actually about doing government in a different way. We've seen in a number of ministries where, especially in health, where they've adopted new practices, something called lean practices, where they're actually doing more with less, providing better services to people, or at least services at the same level with fewer resources that are funded by the taxpayers. We intend to take that right across the government of Saskatchewan. And yes, we will make government smaller. You know, expenditures of the government of Saskatchewan have doubled since I was elected in 1999. It's not that long ago. And again, in the interest of sustainability, of keeping the economic momentum of the province going forward, we need to make decisions today to make sure government itself is sustainable in the long term, and that we have the resources to invest in healthcare, education, social services, and infrastructure.
Mr. Premier, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Premier Brad Wall joining us live from the Rotunda.